Hey everyone, Chris here, and we're going to go over some of the ways to increase sales during this financial uncertain time. This is in response to eBay's managing business during the outbreak of COVID-19. This has been dominating the news cycle over the last few weeks, and eBay has put out a link and some best practices, and I will leave a link below. But we're going to go over some ways to increase your sales. I've noticed a dramatic drop in sales over the last week, and I think it's because people are not spending money. All the money is being spent on supplies and resources and items like that. We've seen a run on toilet paper, we've seen a run on all kinds of things, masks, medical supplies, food, and this is going to be a video to kind of give you some tips to increase sales during this uncertain time. Some of these are going to be ones that you've heard of. Some of these are probably going to be ones you haven't heard of. So you definitely want to stay tuned to the end of this video, and we're going to have some just some kind of tips and tricks on how you can better your chances at increased sales because this COVID-19, we don't know how far this is going to stretch out. We've seen massive decreases in sales in the retail market already. That kind of stuff isn't being reported on the news, but just from my own personal observations over the last week, I've seen a dramatic drop in sales, and especially in our eBay store, I've noticed a kind of a cascading sales decrease in our stores, and that's why I was prompted to do this video. So you'll have some kind of different things that you can do, and maybe this video will get you motivated to kind of start listing and some of these other tricks that can possibly increase your sales, because I'm actually staying home today during this outbreak, and I will be back in the office tomorrow, but I wanted to do this video today since it's fresh in my mind, and I meant to do an how to increase eBay sale video, so we're going to do one today. So definitely go down there and look at this link after the video. It says managing businesses during the outbreak of COVID-19. It's definitely a good read. It just came out today with eBay. So the number one thing you could do to increase sales, and this is the most obvious thing, and sometimes, even myself, if sales are slow, this is the most obvious thing to do, is to list. Now, if you have a death pile, definitely go and prioritize stuff that's going to sell quick. If you have piles of clothes, definitely go and think like it's kind of wintry time still. It's kind of cold. It's raining here in Southern California. So just prioritize your hard goods and your clothing items. If you have other things that are high value and maybe you want to list some of that, I don't know how your eBay store is, as far as your listing restrictions. If it's you have to prioritize that death pile, and just the number one tip is to list, because it's a numbers game here on eBay, and the more you list, the more you're actually going to sell. So, maybe not watch the news tonight, maybe not watch that sitcom that you watch all the time. Maybe it's a good time to turn off the TV, get focused, put on some tunes, and just start listing. We've seen a huge dramatic drop in sales over the last week, and we're going to see, I think, in my opinion, people are going to just stop spending money, if not on, extra things. So you think about it, I sell a bunch of collectibles, and that's kind of like things that aren't necessities. Clothing for the most part, is sort of a necessity. We have clothes in our closets and things that we could probably wear over the next few years if we really had to. But hard goods and clothes, people are probably going to be more likely to buy some clothes than a collectible toy or some of those items like that. So just kind of think about that death pile. Just start cracking at it. And I don't know if anyone's heard the eating the elephant analogy, but it goes, if you have to eat a whole elephant, the best way to do it is one piece at a time. So if you have a huge death pile, start going at it, see what you can get, start listing 10 items, start listing 5 items, just get the ball rolling. Don't overwhelm yourself, just take it one bite at a time. If even just listing one item at a time, take the photo, list the item, do it like that. If you could do everything in batches of 5, I usually do everything in batches of 5. I don't know what that's been over the last 20 years. That's kind of been my magic number. Unless it's like a huge thing of DVDs or something that's very easy to take photos of and list. If you have just a bunch of clothes or a bunch of different items, definitely do the one bite at a time method, and you won't stress yourself out. Put on some nice relaxing tunes, put on your favorite audiobook, some learning material, and you can actually kind of double your efforts by not only listening to something that you can enjoy, also, you're doing the work by listing and listing and listing. Another way to increase sales is ending listings and relisting them. I don't know what this does to the algorithm. I've talked to some eBay people, and they say this is a thing. Once you end a listing and you sell similar, now that's important. Don't relist, because if you sell similar, you're going to get a new eBay item number, and that's important to Cassini. That's important to the algorithm. So end your listing, go back, sell similar, and change the title, change something in the description, and maybe modify the price. If you have the time to take more photos, different photos, maybe something's a year older, and this is for older items. If you have something that you just put on a month ago, this might not be a good technique by ending and relisting. We're talking about something that's maybe 6 months old, 12 months old. Start with the oldest items you have, end those, relist those. If you have a store, we get tons of free listings. Every month, eBay gives us free auction listings and different items and promotions like that. So look into your specific eBay store that you have. If you don't have an eBay store, you're going to be paying different fees for auctions versus buy it now listings. So just kind of look into that. Like I said, eBay wants to promote more auctions. So you're going to see every month you're going to get allotted free auctions. Even if you don't have a store, an eBay store subscription, you're going to see eBay's going to give you a certain amount of auction listings for free. So use those. When starting an auction, best practices is to start your auction at a price you're comfortable of it ending at if you get one bid. Therefore, if you have a $100 item, you're probably not going to list it at $9.99, because if it sells at that price, because in this time, it's not a good time to kind of play the gambling game with auctions, because right now people are very strapped for money. Resources are going to be spread thin. People are going to rather spend money on stuff that they need rather than stuff that they want. So just remember that. So don't play the auction game. If you're going to sell something via auction, make sure that it is at a price that you're comfortable selling if it only gets one bid. So that $100 item, might want to start it at $99.99. You have the option of doing best offer on that item. So it might cost a little bit more if you don't have an eBay store. Just remember, look at your different options. Of course, we want to make money here, so look at your different options, which is going to be the best option for you. And so I'll show you quickly how to do that. If you go to your listings here, you go over to the side, and you can simply go to this little item here. Now you can end an item with the checkbox and then go back up here, or you can end one item directly from the side here, and we'll just do that real quick here. You just go here, you click end item, and of course it's going to ask me to sign in because I'm doing a live show or a live video, so of course it's going to ask me to log in. So there we go, just end your listing. And then I like to have another bracket open for unsold listings. You can see it here in the seller hub under listings unsold. You just refresh that. It's going to say resend. Hopefully it doesn't ask me to put my password in again. As you can see here, here's the rackets right here. So then you're going to want to sell similar. It's very important to click sell similar and not relist, because relist will keep the same item number. Selling similar will create a new listing, and the Cassini algorithm likes that. As we can see here, these are rackets. So what we're going to do is we're not going to do this live in this video, but you want to change something in your title. Don't keep the title the same. And you want to change, maybe just copy and paste that into your description. You also want to modify the price somehow. So if it hasn't been selling in a year, guess what? It's not going to sell at that price. So you definitely want to drop the price. There are other sellers that I know. Popeye's Postcard increases his prices when he does this kind of thing. When you relist auctions that don't sell, That's up to you. This is your business. You run it the way you want to run it. He's found success doing that, but then again, he has a very specific store that has a very specific niche, and that's another video for another time. But the majority of eBay sellers have a hodgepodge of items in their store, so you definitely want to drop the price if you can, if it hasn't been selling in a certain amount of time. You also might want to look into looking at what other people are selling similar items for and kind of dropping the price there, because if it's been a year, maybe the market's saturated now, maybe the market's dead. You'll have to go and do your research for sure. So definitely another thing is to consider promoted listings. Now, we've talked about promoted listings in the past, and it's up to you what you want to do. Some people see it as just giving eBay more money. I see it as it's an advertising fee. At the end of the year, it's going to be a tax write-off. It's going to be part of your fees. So don't think of it as like a burden. Think of it as an opportunity to increase your sales. And if we go to your sell items, we're going to show you how to do that really quickly in your My eBay page. It's really simple to do. They've made it really easy to kind of set your items here. So if we go to active, we can see these are all the active listings we have here. On the side here, it says promoted. We have currently at 2%. All my listings, I wait 24 hours to 48 hours before I promote them, because you never know if you're going to get that sale in that quick 24 hours. So that's another pro tip. Don't use promoted listings right off the bat. Wait a couple days, wait a week to see if it sells, because then you won't have to use that promoted listing. Promoted listings for my business and for what I'm doing here, I wait a little bit and then I set it at 2%. You could figure it out yourself. But, let's say you have something like this book. It hasn't been selling. They say the trending ad rate is 11.4%. If you see a high ad rate, that means it's a very saturated niche, a very saturated market. Books is highly saturated. If I was to look at books on eBay, I'm guessing there's 3 million. Let's go look real quick and see how close I am to that. Books, how many listings are there? I should have said book. 52 million. I was way off. So that's what I'm saying. That's why you're going to see those percentages very high for those oversaturated niches. That's why they're high. There's big competition. So when you see high competition, you know that it's going to be oversaturated. So you got to be very good with your prices. And we can see here some clothing at 7%. So this is how you do it. Let's take this Christian Dior two-piece suit. We've had it up since April of 2019. That's almost a year. We have it at 2%. We have 0 watchers. That also plays a factor into increasing your sales. Let's go. All you need to do is click this edit promoted listing. eBay makes it very easy for you just to click the trending rate, 7.1. So that's basically, you're going to start to be at the very top of those lists when we go and look at stuff. I'm not sure exactly when the API kicks in, if it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 15 minutes before you're actually going to get a bump in the listing. But you can just set it, edit promoted listing. It's that simple. If you have a bunch of auctions or a bunch of listings, you can go and do that the similar way. And I think you can actually batch. Let me see if you can do that still. You should be able to, you should be able to batch promote. So if you have like a bunch of DVDs, you can just search by DVD, select them all, and then promote it, and you can batch percentage, so you don't have to go through every single one. For me, everything is bit by bit. We have a hodgepodge of items, so we're also going to just go through these individually today and try to increase the sales. So if you haven't used promoted listings, I definitely highly suggest it. It's a very controversial subject within the reselling community, whether or not promoted listings is valuable, for sales. I say they are. Like I said, we've talked about why I think they're good. And for my kind of tip is, don't do promoted listings right away. Wait a week, wait 2 days, wait a day, because you never know if your item's going to sell right away, and then you're going to lose that percentage. So that's just definitely a pro tip for there. Other ways to increase sales is to source online. People aren't going to want to go into the stores. They're not going to want to go to Goodwills. This might actually be an interesting opportunity for those that are, stuck in their homes. They don't want to go out. The government's saying, stay away from people. There's a little bit of fear and stuff going on in the media. So you might actually have a good opportunity to go out there and do some sourcing while people are at home. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. Wherever you're living, definitely go and check to see if there's any outbreaks in your area. And, if you want to go out, but if you don't, you can source online. There's lot sniping. So if you know a specific niche, now that we're searching here for wholesale lot, and I definitely don't suggest wholesale lot because a lot of people sell stuff that have tried to sell this kind of stuff, and it's basically things that usually people haven't sold. So, but you never know. We got Gaylords of books. I highly suggest not getting into that. A lot of people do very well in that, but that's a volume game. If you know, like, let's say you're an expert at bottle caps, and this is actually, I don't even know if people even collect bottle caps anymore. Let's say bottle caps. I'm going to show you guys a pro tip how to lot snipe. Bottle caps light, a lot. That's actually two words, bottle caps. As you can see here, so let's say you know about a specific bottle cap that's worth $20. You can look through some of these lots and say, oh my God, this whole pile of them. Now you need to look out for the ones that aren't mixed because sometimes they use a very generic photo. Look for a lot that shows like you're going to get these specific bottle caps. And you can use this for basically any subject you're good at. If it's pottery, baseball cards, toys, DVDs, clothes, if you know a specific niche, lot snipe. Go and look for lots. You can buy them. You can find the little pieces that you're going to double your money on. Like, so let's say there's 30 different things. I'm going to look at this. Let's say this pumpkin's a $20 cap, and let's say they're selling this for $7.99. That's how you lot snipe. Sometimes you'll find these things in lots and they'll be hidden, and some people will just search by titles and they won't be looking in the photos. So if you see like this little photo right here, oh, let me look at these bottle caps. Let me see if there's a bottle cap in here that is worth money. And if you know a niche, you can snipe lot snipe, I call it. And I've been doing this for years. I have so many different bolos and niches that I go and do this from time to time. I wish I had the time to do this more, but sometimes you'll find like a $300, like the best lot sniping lot that I've ever done was some Redline Hot Wheels. There was a Tonka truck lot on shopgoodwill.com. There was some Redline Hot Wheels mint in the package buried under some stuff in the photo. It wasn't mentioned in the description. I bought the lot. It was probably like over $100, and I was praying that that stuff was going to be in there because you never know with Shop Goodwill. And of course, they came. I was praying that if it did come, that they didn't pack it all messed up because condition is everything with Hot Wheels. Sure enough, those two Hot Wheels, mint in package, 1969. I sold one for $500 and another one for $400. I made a lot of money on that lot. My dyslexia is coming in here. Lot snipe. This is out there. Another way to increase sales is by going and purchasing lots of things that you can double and triple your money. And the last thing for today is I'm going to say definitely try to cross list. There's lots of cross listing software. I don't use any of that. Full disclosure, we don't do a lot of cross listing, but I do some cross listing on Amazon and Mercari with my own personal items. That is done manually. Now there's tons of resources, tons of software that will do this for you automatically. Like I said, my business hasn't scaled to that point where I'm going to need something like that, and I'm not listing crazy amounts of items in my personal business to use that kind of cross-listing software, but I know people have lots of great videos on that. So if you're thinking about cross-listing, there's so many different channels to increase your sales by cross-listing. There's lots of software that actually will end an auction in one thing if it sells in another, because that's the biggest thing when manually cross-posting things from Mercari to eBay to Etsy or whatever kind of platform you're using, is to, like, if one sells on eBay, you need to go to Mercari and end it. You need to go to Etsy and end it. You need to go to Amazon and Etsy and end it. That kind of gets a little crazy if you're doing it manually. So, but that's another great way to increase sales, is you're kind of spreading out the eyeballs to different areas, because not everyone is just shopping on eBay. There's people shopping on other things, but this is how to increase your sales during this economic time. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I hope this video did help you plant a seed, go out there, start listing, wash your hands, be very careful for who you're around. Try to do your best you can in this time of uncertainty. Don't freak out. Be strong. Start listing, and your sales will increase. And I feel like with everyone doing their job, we are going to get through this financial uncertainty. Once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. We'll see you next time. Take care.